It's time to learn about fitness. No, not exercise, but ecological fitness. Ecological fitness is the ability to survive to reproductive age, success at finding a mate, and producing offspring. Basically, the more offspring an individual makes during its lifetime, the greater its biological fitness. A honeybee produces 6 offspring, and another produces 8. The second honeybee would have a higher level of fitness in this case because it passed more of its genes into the next generation. It isn't always this simple, though. Sometimes, organisms sacrifice their fitness to benefit an organism within their community. This is called altruism. In an altruistic event, the organism can simply give up their ability to reproduce, or they could actually die in the process. In altruism, when an individual does not produce any offspring, it makes sense that their level of fitness would be 0, because they do not have the opportunity to reproduce. Since organisms would not pass on their genes, it would seem that altruistic events are incredibly harmful to the livelihood of a species. Shouldn't natural selection act against this? Why does altruism still occur? Before, we were only considering the organism's individual fitness, how many offspring the organism personally produced. This does not take into account the possibility that the organism's genes are passed on through a relative. Consider an example. Honeybees who sting a predator die after stinging that predator. After they die, they are obviously unable to reproduce. This helps the hive prosper, but this bee is unable to pass on its genes to further generations. There is a major piece we have not talked about thus far. If the bee was related to, say, the queen bee, we will assume the queen because the hive does everything it can to protect the queen, so she will be guaranteed offspring. Then some of the bee's genes will be passed on. The degree to which an organism has its genes passed on is considered inclusive fitness. We can represent altruism with Hamilton's rule, which is RB greater than C. R is the percent that the altruist is related to the recipient of the altruism, so whether they are siblings, cousins, etc. B is the number of offspring the recipient produces, and C is the number of offspring the altruist would have produced. RB is inclusive fitness, and C is individual fitness. Therefore, if inclusive fitness is greater than individual fitness, then it makes sense for the organism to perform the altruistic event.